Hi students, this is Deepak Pokhariyal once again, and in this video I am once again going to talk about the note making. It is a kind of revision. In this revision, once again we will discuss the process of note making, and we will also discuss one passage, one example, and we'll read the passage and we'll do exactly as we do while note making. We'll underline the important sentences in the passage and then we'll make notes on it. Now first the revision, note making. Now see, whatever I want to discuss in this revision, I have written that in form of notes. So note making is the title of these notes which I have made on revision. Capital A, capital B, capital C, these are the headings. Small a, B, C, these are the subheadings, and Roman numbers 1, 2, 3, these are the subheadings. I have also used in these notes based on revision, I have also used the abbreviation, and the key to abbreviation is provided, and a summary is also written of the procedure of writing notes. So let us see what all in this. I have divided this procedure of note making into three different categories, that is reading, which is the first step, and then the writing notes, which is the second step, and then summarizing, which is the third step. So I made headings with these different themes, different stages of note making. So what do we have to do at the first stage, which is reading? We have to read the passage and we have to read it twice. And then next is divide the passage. As I have divided this procedure of note making into three stages, similarly you can divide whatever passage you have got for note making. You can divide it theme wise, you can divide it time wise, you can divide it paragraph wise, and then you have to give the passage a second reading, and this time you have to underline the points for the notes. So this is how we have written notes on first stage, which is reading a passage. And then the second stage is writing notes. So while writing the notes, you have to use headings, main points, not too many headings, and then you have to write the subheadings, related ideas, which are further developing the main points, and then subheadings, subheadings you have to write. Not always, subheadings are not always required. And then what should be the writing style of writing notes? You have to use the short phrases as it is written here in the subheading writing style, subheading number D. No complete sentences. Now this is very important, and we had discussed it in detail in the previous session yesterday, that we do not write the complete sentences. You lose your marks if you write complete sentences in your notes. Then you have to abbreviate the long words, not too many. Uh, just you need to keep the abbreviated words within the window of 4 words to 8 words. And then summarizing, what you have to do in summarizing, you have to adhere to word limit, expand information provided in notes. It is very important that your summary is going to be based on your notes, so you have to write whatever information you have written in notes in expanded form when you're writing the summary. And then don't use examples. This is again very important. You are not required to use examples in your notes and also in your summary. Then I have given this key to abbreviation. Always give this key to abbreviation in box. Key to abbreviation like underline, I have abbreviated complete, abbreviation, and provide. So these 4 words were abbreviated. And now look at the summary. So whatever we have written here in the notes, the 3 stages of note making, that um, I have covered that in the summary. So see, my summary reads in complete sentences. That's very important. Read the passage twice and divide according to theme, time, or paragraph. Write notes using headings, subheadings, and subheadings. Use main ideas and avoid examples. Use short phrases and not complete sentences. Abbreviate only the long words. Write a summary within the word limit using your notes. So this is the summary. So, see, one example of note making I have given you where we have discussed the procedure and I have written notes on the procedure. See, so you can once again go through the video and look at this first part of the video where we have written the procedure of note making in form of notes, and we have also written the key to abbreviation, and we have also given summary. Now let us take this example. I have written example 2 because one example we have already discussed in previous videos. Now this is the second example. So in exam you will get a passage like this. So you have to read the passage once and then again you have to read the passage, and while you are reading it for the second time you have to underline the important sentences which you want to write in your notes. Now let us see what is this passage about. James Doohan Scotty from the original Star Trek series died in 2005. Before his death, he instructed in his will that he wished to be buried in space. It took a long time, but Doohan's made it to space in 2012. The first space burial took place 20 years before Doohan's death, and it involved the ashes of another person involved in Star Trek, that of its series creator, Gene Roddenberry. Since then, space burials have become big business, and believe it or not, with traditional funeral expenses going through the roof, the costs of space burial have actually become competitive. A company that specializes in space burials, Celestrix, offers a price list to potential customers. The launch of a single gram of a loved one's ashes into the Earth's orbit starts at around $5,000. The launch of the same amount of ashes into deep space costs $12,500. The third option of having one's ashes scattered on the moon can cost $9,950. The popularity of space burials is now changing funeral habits in the United States. More and more people are choosing cremation instead of burial so that their relatives have the option of sending their ashes into space. Since 1999, according to the Cremation Association in Canada and the United States, the rate of cremations has almost doubled. Companies like Celestics take payment from the departed family, receive the ashes, and even provide the container to carry the remains. The container, in this case, is a special one as it must be secure enough to get past thermal vibration and vacuum tests before it can be launched so as not to explode while orbiting in space. The space un the space un then it taken to ride out to space. It needs a vessel in which it can escape Earth's gravity. Thus, it has to be launched into space with the help of rockets, with satellites, scientific equipment, climate instrumentation, and other payloads. As there is yet no dedicated spacecraft to own exclusive burial services, the remains have to be in waiting till a suitable opportunity can be found in a craft which can find room to accommodate the urn. Some companies have begun to specialize in this operation. Cevit is one company that offers customers a dignified memorial spaceflight. The company takes the remains up to joint communication satellites, spy satellites, and thousands of other satellites that circle the Earth. As a step further, there are companies that are looking at other options. One of them is planning to start a service to send a keepsake such as a DNA sample, a wedding ring, a photograph to the moon. Once the keepsake reaches its destination, the client will get a photograph on the social media or any other network on one's choice to cherish forever afterwards. So now this is very interesting passage which talks about that how people are cremating their loved ones even in the countries where cremating the dead bodies is not in practice, but they are doing so so that they could send their ashes, their loved ones' ashes to the space. Now, it talks about the actor of Star Trek that how in 2005 he made a wish for the space burial, and his wish came true after 7 years of his death. So see, his relatives they kept these ashes safe for 7 years, and then they found the opportunity to send it to the space. Now, we'll give this passage a second reading. Okay, after the passage like this, you will get two questions. One question will ask you to make notes on this passage using headings, subheadings, recognizable abbreviations. Okay, a minimum four it is saying. So in many questions, they say that minimum four and maximum not more than 7 and 8. And then they also ask you to write a summary in a limited number of words. So here in this case it is 80 words. Now we'll give the passage a second reading. A second reading the heading says here. And while we are giving it a second reading, we will underline the important points, important clauses and important sentences which we want to include in our notes. As you can see, all the way to the end of the passage I have underlined the important sentences which I want to where the important information is there for our notes. Like, it talks about the, okay, I did not underline the name of this actor. We should have done this. So James Dohan, he died in he died in 2005, wished to bury it in space, made it to space in 2012. So everything is underlined here. From the second passage also, whatever was important, I underlined. Like Gene Roddenberry, he was the first one whose ashes went to space. Space burials have become big business, and now um, Celetrix is the company which is offering its customers this service, and then the cost, different cost that has also been underlined here. So I think we'll be using it somewhere in our notes. Now in the third paragraph, okay, changing funeral habits. It is changing in United States, and since 1999, according to the Cremation Association in Canada and the United States, the rate of cremations has almost doubled. So this information I have underlined. Similarly, the company Celestrix, so this name has been underlined. We'll be using this in our notes. Provide the container to carry the equipments. And what is the specialty of that container? That it can resist all the assaults when it will go to space. It can resist all the assaults of the atmosphere. So vibration, vacuum test, everything. And then special wounds. These wounds are um, put in a satellite in a rocket, and as there are no dedicated satellites only for this service, so they are fitted in the rockets in the satellites which are going into space for other purpose. So now here in the last paragraphs also I have underlined the important things which are uh, important lines which carry the information for our notes. Now, one thing here you have to keep in mind that when you're writing your notes, do not copy the language of the passage. It should be your own. And obviously, if you will be using the language of the passage, your lines in your notes are going to be lengthy. So it is important that you make your own short phrases, use only a few words when you're writing the. So uh, you have to give your notes a title, the lure of space burials. So that is the title. You can give any other title. Okay. or simply space burial you can write, but do write a title, whatever it is, and it should be it should relate to the topic of your passage of your notes, and it will fetch you 1 mark. If you forget to write the title, then that 1 mark you will lose. And then as you see here, I told you that in our notes we have to write our notes in headings, subheadings, sub-subheadings. So with capital A, B, capital C, capital D, capital E, capital F. So we have written 6 headings here. It means we divided this passage into 6 major parts. Then we have written with small ABC. These are the subheadings. We are further developing the uh, headings, writing the main ideas. See, okay, and sub-subheadings we have not used in these notes, but you can use it if you want. So first having it James Dohan's last wish. So left as instructions in his will, wish to be buried in space, wish fulfilled in 2012, though died in 2005. Second heading scenario 20 years before and now. So 20 years before, Jeannie Roddenberry's ashes carried into space 20 years earlier. A rising cremation rate provides space burial options. Space burials now competitive with ritual burials. Now, see, it is the third heading is about the company which is offering this service to its customers, Celetrix. So offers made by Celetrix to customers, and price list available $5,000 and $12,500 for the space burial, ashes scattered on the moon for 9,950 ashes collection by the company. And it is also there is also provision for thermal vibration and vacuum sealed container. The process of ashes launched by rocket satellites. Okay, and drawbacks of the system. What are the drawbacks? Dedicated spacecrafts for exclusive ash carrying, long wait. They have to wait very long, like that actor waited for 7 years after his death for his wish to come true. And savage service on common satellites, spy satellites and other. And what is the future plans of these companies? Carrying keepsakes, DNA sample, wedding ring, photograph, and facilitate posting on social media sites. So this business is growing. So this is how we have uh, covered this passage in these notes. Now, one thing which I said in my previous video also, that it is not necessary that if somebody else is reading your notes, he understands what you want to write. It is okay because you write your notes your way and other people write your notes in their way. So it is completely acceptable if the lines which you have written in your notes, they do not make any sense to a person who has not written them is reading them. So that's okay. That is the nature of your notes. Nature of notes. So now we have also used these abbreviations in our notes: years, scientific equipment, and in communication. So you can see these abbreviations used in these notes, and you can use them. They are not many. In this case, only five words we have abbreviated. Now the summary. Summary is very important. It should be in word limit and it should cover everything you have written in your notes. Now let us read this summary. Following Jeannie Roddenberry's example, James Doohan's ashes were taken into space, with cremations rising and space burial turning competitive. Companies like Celetrix offer services of collecting ash, providing containers, and Earth orbiting, deep space carrying, or scattering ash on the moon. Despite a long gestation period, as there are no dedicated flights for ashes carriage, companies manage to dispatch their cargo on satellites. Future plans include carrying keepsakes such as DNA samples, wedding rings, and sending photographs for posting on social media networks. So this is how we have written summary of these notes. So after watch this video again and again, um, as I said earlier, that you will not become an expert in making notes in first go. You have to practice again and again, and once you have done it enough, you'll become an expert. And this note making will help you in studying other subjects also, like science and commerce subjects. So, and apart from that, this is a question where you are guaranteed to get maximum marks. 10 on 10, 10 marks question it is in board exams, and very easily you can get those 10 marks. Just keep in mind these things which have been discussed in these videos. I'll also be sending you a PDF file with a passage for note making. Okay, so watch this video again and again, watch the previous videos again and again, and practice note making as much as you can. Thank you very much.